Hi everyone, welcome. I'm a little bit excited because nobody ever wants to talk to me about LinkedIn, which is a bit sad because it's actually a really interesting place to hang out. As Shannon mentioned, this workshop has been on the agenda for, well, since last year, and it was originally supposed to be 3 hours. So I've cut it down to 1 tonight. So I am going to do some fairly broad brush bits and pieces, but hopefully you will, at the end of this, you'll get a little bit excited about the possibilities of LinkedIn and how you can make the most of it, how you can use this channel to elevate your personal brand, create better networks, and help your business. So yeah, I'll get going. So I thought I'd just start. I'm not sure where everyone is in their LinkedIn journey, whether or not you already have an account, whether or not you've, just been kind of lurking around in there for a while. Like many people, you may have started one, 10, 15 years ago and haven't really used it. But if you're fairly new to it, where it fits in the mix is very much in that business and employment focus. Facebook is very general. You can kind of say anything, do anything on Facebook. You can be businessy, you can be personal, you can be unprofessional, you can be professional, you can kind of do what you want. But in that LinkedIn space, there's not really a huge amount of point, and you won't get much love if you post, funny cat videos and things too much. So Instagram, again, has a very generalist focus. YouTube's kind of a content hub and a search engine. And, if you're that way inclined, TikTok is a bit more of an authentic user-driven space, but it can certainly be a part of your whole marketing mix. I've put this quote on here because I think it really, well, for me, it sums up what LinkedIn is and how it feels when you're in there. People talking about things that you care about. And it's important to remember that phrase because it'll help you to understand what you should be doing in the space as well. But it's not just a personal promotion space. You can work it to be a marketing tool for your business. So before you get started or before you go and make major changes to your profile, I thought I would like to talk to you a little bit about why you want to use LinkedIn and who you want to be when you're in there, because it's really important. LinkedIn obviously has the ability to create company pages and you can post as your company. But tonight, because we've only got an hour, I want to talk to you about your personal profile, because I really think that's where the magic can happen. That's where the best conversations happen. That's where the networking happens. And I assume that's why you're all here. Creating a company page, it's template based, and I can definitely, talk you through that another time, or you can go and have a look on LinkedIn and get started. But tonight I really thought it'd be helpful to talk about you. So one of the things I always like to say to people is, what's your why? Why are you here? What do you want to do with this channel? Because if you don't really understand why you're there and you don't know who you're talking to and you don't really have a purpose, that'll show. It'll show in your content. It'll show in the way that you behave in there. So before you sort of get started, just sit down and have a think, like, what's important to you? What's relevant to you? What's relevant to your business? What are you comfortable talking about? What are you good at? What will support your marketing efforts? What will help your personal brand? What do you want to be known for? And why do you want to use LinkedIn? And then the other thing that I think you should sit down and think about is how much time can you allocate to this? Because as I go through the slides tonight, some of this stuff will actually take a little bit of time. And so if you can start from the beginning with a bit of a plan for how you're going to use this channel, you'll like it more. You'll spend less time doing it, and you'll get more out of it. So I want you to do a little bit of homework. I want you to work out your why before you make any changes so that you can create that consistent presence. I think having a consistent presence will help you to attract and create a solid network. And I think that if you can prioritize, prioritize the details that you put in your profile, and as you're building that profile, you can think about your why. You can think about what you're in there and what you're going to be talking about and what you want to be known for. And that will really help you to populate that profile in an effective way. And people will then, when they see you, when they come across you, when they search for you, they'll get a really nice, consistent sort of message. Oh, that's Erica. She does this. She's looking for these kinds of opportunities. She wants to connect with these kinds of people. She talks about this stuff. A lot of what happens on LinkedIn is very open and very visible. When you go to someone's profile, you can see who they're connected to. You can see what they've been commenting on. You can actually click on it and you can go and see what they like and share and all of that sort of stuff. So it's quite an open book. So it's important that you build a consistent presence so that when people come, they kind of get a sense of who you are. So now thinking about your why, like why are you using it? If you're using it to job hunt, then you would use it a lot differently to the way that, say, I would use it. I use LinkedIn not very well and not very often, so I'm a bit busy, but I do love it. But it's more around connection and networking. I don't need to worry about employer branding because, I don't want to be a big agency. I don't want to be hiring people. I don't need to worry about job hunting. But I use it as a space, and you might want to use it as a space to be a thought leader, to work on your personal brand, to be able to self-publish, to be able to kind of amplify what it is that you want to say. What are your key messages? And also you can use it as a sales and business development tool. If you're a business to business, it is an amazing place to be, but also business to consumer as well, depending on what it is that you are selling. So as you move about on LinkedIn and you create content and you connect with people, you should then stick to your why. Be authentic when you're dealing with people. Don't always be selling something. There's a real ick factor, and I apologize if anyone does this, but when I connect with someone, I always have a look at who they are and who they're connected to and what they do. And I think, oh yeah, that could be a good connection. But then if I immediately get an email from them, like immediately, that says, hi, Erica, thanks for connecting. I want to introduce you to this thing, and and it just goes straight into a sales message before we've actually met. That can be really off-putting, and generally I'll either unconnect with that person or just sort of keep that memory in my mind that it's not a very good thing. Sorry. Hi, Kelly. I thought it was a question, but it's not. It's just a comment to say, yes, that's unpleasant. It's very unpleasant. So don't always be selling something. You can use this as a marketing tool, but there are kind of rules. There are unwritten rules, and those rules in this space are very much add value. You can talk about yourself and what you're doing or what your company's doing, and you can do that in an authentic way, and you can share your experiences in an authentic way, but there doesn't always have to be a hard sell. LinkedIn is very much a place where you can give back, where you can engage, where you can comment and you can share. And there are also 3 really incredible ways to increase your visibility in that space: by engaging on posts that are popular, that are trending, that the people that you want to connect with are there on that same post. By commenting, you will get seen. By sharing content from people who have shared values or have something really interesting to say, or by sharing content that's trending, that can also help you to increase your visibility in this space. Offering value, which I say is important across all of these social media channels, offering value to people keeps them coming back, makes them want to connect with you, makes them want to read every time you post something. And you will notice that if you do offer that value, people will want to connect with you. And just again, as I said before, you've got to remember that everything that you do is visible. You do have some privacy settings, but it's a fairly transparent little space here. When you're developing your why, remember that it's okay to change. It's okay to evolve as you grow with this network, as you learn more about what other people are doing, as your business changes, as your interests develop. It's okay to keep changing that. But it's a really good idea to write it down somewhere, stick it on a Post-it note, have something that you can go back to when you're writing content in this space, so that you don't find yourself just randomly sharing things that aren't kind of you, that aren't part of your value system, that don't really have a point, that don't really add value to your audience. It's okay, when I say that, don't be too salesy. You can ask, you can add calls to actions on your post. You can say, blah, 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 blah. This is a really interesting story. We did this today, at my organization. If you'd like to learn more about what we do, please give us a call. Or if you'd like to learn more about what we do, head over to our website. It's okay to put those kinds of calls to action in there, because, you're not really selling. You're saying, if this is of interest, let's chat some more. And remember that when people comment and engage with you, keeping those conversations flowing is really important. So don't just post and then run off and spend the day doing whatever. If you post, you want to make sure that you are engaging as much as possible. If people are liking and commenting, turn on your notifications so that you can get to them pretty quickly, because the quicker that you can respond, the more the algorithm, which I'll get to in a minute, will pay attention to you and will keep pushing your content out further and further. I always tell people to be authentic on LinkedIn. I've connected with many people in the past and then disconnected, because I think that it's a space where you should be honest. We're talking about we're talking about businesses, we're talking about employment, we're talking about skills, and when you're not authentic, or when somebody's not authentic and you meet them in real life and there's a massive disconnect, that's when you start to lose trust. Hopefully people can you just, Christy, can you stick your thumb up and tell me if you can hear me? Cool. I think my headphones are about to die. All right, I'll stop talking about that. So when you are about to make changes, when you're thinking about what you're going to do in this space, or if you're just starting out, it's okay to lurk. You can switch off your public profile and you can be seen in a less obvious way. If you, this is just in under your, I've just put this slide in here to show you how to do that. So just in under your profile name, if you go into settings and privacy, you can switch between different layers of privacy. If you want someone to know that you're looking at their profile, then you should by all means, keep that box checked, keep that circle checked. If you want to do a little bit of lurking, see what your competitors are up to, see what other people in your industry or in your networks are doing, then you can make yourself completely anonymous. I like this quote. I was doing a little bit of research a while ago, and it was just saying that 90% of people in these online communities are lurkers who never or rarely contribute. 9% of users contribute a little, and 1% of users contribute most of the action. And I'm looking at you, Gary Vaynerchuk. So there are a lot of people in these groups and in these channels who are just like bang, bang, bang. They're always on there, and they're Kelly O'Callaghan, actually. That's, you're always on there chatting. But there's a lot of people who are really good at this. And what I would say to you is, don't get intimidated by that. Don't get forced into doing stuff that doesn't make you feel comfortable. It's okay to switch off your privacy and work. So now I want to talk a little bit about algorithms, because I believe that if you don't understand how these channels work, you can't really use them to your advantage. Hopefully I won't bore you too much with this. The LinkedIn algorithm has two primary goals. It's very different to Facebook, and it's different to Instagram. The two objectives of this algorithm, and sorry, I'll just step it back a little bit for anyone who doesn't know what I mean by that. When you are looking at a news feed on LinkedIn, this algorithm is the series of measures that determines what you're going to see in your news feed. So you won't always see everything. You won't see everything from everyone that you're connected to. The algorithm will choose what it thinks you're most likely to engage with. So the algorithm does a couple of things. It assesses content relevancy and it assesses engagement. So, but what it does is it prioritizes posts that are relevant more than posts that are recent. So when you're in LinkedIn, you might find that you're getting served content from a week ago, and you're getting served that content because it's been popular and people in your networks have been commenting on it, or it's using hashtags, or it's using keywords that you've recently interacted with. And so LinkedIn's going to say, okay, well, Erica, if you're interested in that, then you're probably going to be interested in this post. So, oh, gone the wrong way. I'm going to take these out. All right. So,
can you hear me, Christy? Yeah, sweet. All right. LinkedIn's recently updated the algorithm to show members posts from people that they actually know and content that relates to topics that they care about, since those two are not necessarily mutually exclusive. This change has happened over the last couple of years, and it's kind of increased the likelihood of interaction and the chances that more content creation and more engagement on posts down the line. And it sort of turns what used to be quite a negative little feedback loop into a positive one. So what that means is what was happening in LinkedIn a while ago was, people like Richard Branson or Oprah Winfrey or whoever, Brené Brown probably, their posts were constantly being pushed into people's feeds. And so it was sort of creating this real echo chamber of celebrities and popular people and CEOs and this sort of stuff. And people were giving negative feedback to LinkedIn because they weren't seeing content from people that they wanted to hear from, and they had to go seek it out. And so they changed that algorithm. And what this means is that your posts have the opportunity to go viral without needing to be famous or without needing to have a ton of followers. They just need to be good and they need to be relevant. So content, when it's looking at your content in order to send it out to people, it's looking at your personal connections. It's looking at your personal connections, and what I mean by implicit and explicit signals. That means, do people like your content? Are they engaging with it? Are they connecting with you? Or is it implicit that they want to connect with you because it's looking at the messages that go back and forth. It's not always the things that are open. Now, you might navigate to a person's profile or company page a lot because you're really interested in their content, but you might not necessarily like or comment or share. So it's taking that into account. It's looking at the relevance of that content. Just because you post something and we're connected and we chat a lot and message each other, doesn't mean that I'm actually interested in your content. And it's going to know that because it can see everything that I do. It can see what I comment on. It can see what content I post about. It's reading my keywords. It's looking at the hashtags that I follow. So it knows what I'm interested in. Sorry, I've just lost a screen. The other thing it's looking at is engagement probability. So in order for it to send a post out into a newsfeed, it's got to calculate the probability that that person is going to engage with it, because that's kind of the point of LinkedIn, is it's putting posts out into the space that people will engage with. So if it thinks that you're likely to comment, then it's going to send it out to you. I guess that's a nutshell. So when you think about personal connections, that might help you to make decisions about who you connect with. So just because you follow Richard Branson on LinkedIn doesn't necessarily mean you know him personally. And if you do, can you introduce me? But what the algorithm is doing is it's aiming to give your personal connections more weight. So if there are people that you want to connect with, it's a really good idea to start up conversations with them. It's a really good idea to try to encourage some kind of messaging back and forth. And you can do that in your posts. You can say to people, send me a message if you'd like to learn more, or you could message people in a non-salesy, creepy way after you've gotten to know them a little bit longer. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. All right, so just one last note on that, which I did sort of quickly mention before, that the engagement that you get on a post really, the quicker that you get engagement on a post, the better. Whilst LinkedIn doesn't necessarily take recency into account over relevancy, it will look at that, and it will be looking for recent posts to put into someone's newsfeed. But people can and do have the option to change the way that they see posts. So don't rely on posting a lot to get seen. You still need to be creating relevant content. So working with the algorithms, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can work with those algorithms to make sure that your content is getting visible. Headlines. Headlines are really important, and they are in all of these channels. You know, when something pops into your newsfeed, there's only a couple of lines and an image, and so you really have to use those headlines as much as you can. Use keywords. You know, ask questions, think about what people are interested in at the moment, think about what's going to make them click on it and read more. Now, this isn't going to be relevant to everyone, but just as an example, when you look at some of the statistics in LinkedIn of posts that people engage with a lot, there are certain words that appear in a lot of trending posts. So things like leaders, leadership, you know, anything to do with leaders, posts that have something to do with habits in the headline, like, you know, 6 habits of successful people, 6 habits to get into to get the best workflow, I don't know, or like 5 ways to do something, using the number 5 and telling people there's only 5 ways to, you know, make a ton of money, or 5 ways to be more popular, or I don't know, whatever it is. By using the number 5, people can go, oh yeah, I'm busy, but I reckon I could do 5 things. 5 is a nice manageable number. And it also tells people that this article that you've written, or this post that you've written, isn't going to be very long, because it's only 5 things. If you said like 25 ways to do this thing, I'd be like, oh, I don't really have time to read that. That's too much. I'm not going to be able to do all those things. But 5 I can get at. And the word successful, unsurprisingly, is a really good word to use in your headlines. So there's a couple of things here, a couple of options that you have with your content. One is to just do a post, which is just a post into your that goes into the newsfeed. And another way is to create and write articles. I'm not sure if anyone here is thinking about writing articles. If you are, great. Contributing content into LinkedIn is a really, really good way to get known as a thought leader. It's also, it's a very cluttered space. And again, so thinking about keywords, things that people are searching for, and using great headlines is a way that you can get people to read your articles. Christy has said, do you mean create articles as in your own blog? Yes and no. So LinkedIn has its own news feed. It used to be called Pulse. And you can actually create like a blog style article in LinkedIn. So you can use your post to send people off to your blog that you host on your website. Sending people away from LinkedIn using an external link isn't the best with the algorithm. Unsurprisingly, it wants you to keep people in LinkedIn, but it is a really good way to push people out to go to your website. Creating articles in LinkedIn is a really great way to get noticed. And if you create an article that's popular, then LinkedIn will start to promote your article for you as well. So some people create articles just for LinkedIn, and some people will create an article and on their blog, and then they will just repurpose that content and put it up onto LinkedIn as well. So having articles on your blog is really important for Google search, but having articles that are hosted directly in LinkedIn is really good for LinkedIn search. Does that answer your question? Yeah?
Yep, good, thank you.
No worries. The best way to kind of, see what I mean is to actually go onto LinkedIn and read some of those articles. You've probably been reading them, and you've probably been commenting on them and not realised that they're hosted within LinkedIn. So other ways that you can look at doing headlines is to try leading with a question or a statement. And I would say this across all of your socials. How to do blah, blah, why you should, learn how, have you ever wondered why? Those sorts of questions, they're leading questions, and they're designed to get people who are interested in the outcome or the answer to that question to read more. Another way that people say, this could be done in a more local sense, but another way that that people say you can use LinkedIn is by actually name dropping in your headlines. And now that I've said this to you, you'll probably notice. So if you say something like, I don't know why I'm picking on Richard Branson tonight, but anyway, why Richard Branson got it right when he said blah, blah, or how you can apply Elon Musk's thing to your thing. Those sorts of name dropping, it lends weight to your post. And you don't have to use like super famous people, but it also helps with search, because people are searching for these people and people follow these people. And so if you're mentioning certain people in your headlines of your articles or in your posts, you might find that people do find you and connect with you. But be authentic, please, and stick to your why. If you've got no reason to mention Elon Musk or Oprah Winfrey or any Brené Brown or any of those people, then you shouldn't do it. Be authentic, please. All right. Another way to be found, another really great mechanism that LinkedIn has is hashtags. Now, unlike Twitter, well, it's particularly unlike Instagram, you shouldn't stick a stack of hashtags onto your LinkedIn posts. Firstly, they look hideous. Secondly, the algorithm doesn't like it. And thirdly, people don't like it. It's just not a space to have, 20, 30 hashtags in the same way that Instagram works. But they can be really, really helpful, and they can help the algorithm as well to understand what it is that you talk about. So if you pick 10 hashtags, so go back to the start of this presentation and think about your why. What do you want to be known for? What are you going to talk about? And and ask those questions, then you can develop a series of hashtags that match with your why. And what that'll do is it'll help to build up a profile, help to the algorithm to understand what it is that you're interested in, what it is that you talk about, and it'll help people to find you. So hashtags, like they always are a way to categorize your posts and differentiate them from the rest of the content being uploaded. Hashtags on LinkedIn should be specific to your post, not just your brand, because more likely than not, people aren't going to be searching for your brand name or your product name or you necessarily. So you want to make sure that your hashtags are relevant. So another way when you're getting started with your post and you're not sure what hashtags to use, LinkedIn does this really cool thing where it actually suggests, it tries to pull out the gist of your post, and it actually suggests a stack of hashtags at the bottom of the post. So you could pick 2 or 3 or 1 or whatever of those and get started. And then you'll find that if you always use the same hashtag on your posts, as long as it's relevant, like for example, if I was always using social media tips, then it's going to get me to a point where my content has this opportunity to trend, because people who follow that hashtag for whatever reason will start to see my posts because I'm always posting on those hashtags. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. So think about what you want to be known for, think about what your post is about, and use hashtags that are relevant to that rather than putting in your business name or anything like that. It's just not relevant. Use the same ones regularly, and like I said, you have the opportunity to trend on your hashtag. And it's funny, a few times LinkedIn sent me a message and said, your post is trending in, I don't know, like work from home or something. And I'm like, what? I've only got like 6 likes and 4 comments. How's that trending? But LinkedIn has this real sort of like personal approach. And what it's saying is people in your network are really liking your posts. So that's kind of cool. It's nice to know you're sort of trending. Other ways that you can use tags is you can tag relevant companies and other members, so other LinkedIn members. You can use keywords really strategically in your posts because you want to be found in search. So using all of these mechanisms in your posts, as long as you do it in a way that doesn't make your content sound weird or look weird, that can be really important to you. So if you're working with another organisation, mention them. Don't just say their name. Use the @ symbol and actually tag the company or tag the person that you're working with, and try to find opportunities to do that as much as possible. It's going to send them a notification. They're going to come over, they're going to jump on and say, hey, it's been really great working with you. This is a great project. And then, you start to get that engagement. The other thing that you need to do is optimize your profile. Go and fill it out. If you've got work history on there from 20 years ago, I probably should, I don't even know if I do, 20 years ago, take it off. It's not relevant. You can kind of just squish things up to what it is that you're doing now, and you can just cut out a lot of that fluff. Fill out if you've got a company page, fill that thing out. If you've got a profile, fill it out, any awards you've won, any times you've been in the news or articles that you've written, and use keywords. I can't stress that enough. You'll be able to generate a whole list of keywords that are appropriate for you and for your business, and you want to pepper those throughout everything on your profile. Add hashtags. Follow hashtags that you're interested in, and be consistent with your posting schedule. If you can only post once a week, I should listen to myself, then just post once a week, but do it consistently. If you can post more, do it. Keep it going, because that's going to be the thing that the algorithm starts to realize, oh yeah, this person posts consistently using these keywords, using these hashtags. these particular connections like this content, these particular connections, these articles that they're writing are related to this content, and you start to build this really nice kind of consistent little profile. If you work in a company and you have a company page, encourage employees to connect, encourage employees to be creating content as well, and make sure that you have a consistent approach across the company. So look, they can have their own LinkedIn profile, but I guess they have to really, you know, particularly when it comes to something like a council, everybody who works for council, there's huge numbers of people. So I guess you need to make sure that you can control to a certain extent what is being said about the organisation. You can participate in LinkedIn groups that are relevant to you. And again, people can see what groups you're in. Groups are a fantastic place to connect with people who have common interests. They're really great places to market yourself, and they're really great places to share your articles so that people start to jump on those articles and create articles that are popular. So get in there and have a look. You can drive people to your LinkedIn profile in a number of ways. You can use your website. You can use your other social media channels to say, connect with me on LinkedIn. You can stick it on your business card, push people to LinkedIn and start to grow those connections once your profile is all ready. What else can I say about your profile? Oh, recommendations and endorsements. They're a great thing. You know, if you can get people that you've worked with to recommend and endorse you, then absolutely go for it. You can ask people directly, or you can just scoot on over to their profile and give them a recommendation or an endorsement. And sometimes that'll make them go, oh, that's really nice. I should do that. I should do that back. You know, there's a switch that you can flick in LinkedIn that allows you to approve recommendations and stuff before they go live on your profile. And I highly recommend that you turn that on, because sometimes you might receive a recommendation from someone that you don't want to be associated with. Or sometimes, you know, in the past, I've had people write a recommendation based on, you know, interactions that they've had with me via my Facebook. Like, they'll write me a recommendation and say, oh, you know, Erica's really great at this and this and this and this. And I think, I've never worked with you. I don't really know you. And, you know, you're just getting a vibe from, you know, my website or my Facebook page. So, you know, you might not necessarily want everyone to, you know, have free reign on recommendations. Make sure your profile is public. There are a whole bunch of privacy settings. It's up to you what you want people to see, you know, keeping in mind that you want your public profile to be, you know, to lock down some stuff. You want people to connect with you, you know, to get things like your contact details or your work history and things like that. So yeah, once you've got all of that ready, you know, it's time to start going out and connecting with people. So who do you connect with? There are people out there in that LinkedIn world who I call connection collectors, which is a bit of a tongue twister, but they just go connect, and they're always trying to connect with people, and you look at them and they've got like 5,000 connections and you just think, come on, really? When they try to connect with me, I think, I don't know you, you don't know anyone that I know, we have nothing in common, no thanks. So I think it's really important for you, unless you want to be a connection collector, to connect with people that you know, to follow people who create interesting and shareable content, and to join groups where you can add value, where you can learn, and where you can connect. And if you find that those groups aren't giving you what you need, just leave those groups and find another one, because they're really good places and you don't want to waste your time in a group that's not for you. Always connect with people that you meet at face-to-face networking events, if that ever becomes a thing again. I just dated myself then. Connect with people who have common interests. They will be more likely to like and comment and share your stuff. Connect with people who you can help or who can help you, because that's kind of what this space is all about. And yeah, don't just connect with connection collectors. I wanted to put this slide in here because I think it's really important that you understand that safety is really important. Make sure you've got really good, strong passwords. It's really easy and it's really common. Actually, it's not really easy to get hacked, sorry, but it's really common. I see random stuff popping up on LinkedIn all the time and I'm like, oh, that person got hacked. And the first step to making sure you don't get hacked is to not connect with random strangers, because random strangers who look legit. They've got like a university degree and they've got 500 connections and they say they do all of these things, and they might even be connected to 2 or 3 people that you know. But if you really don't know them, just pause, because just because 3 of your friends have just connected them automatically doesn't mean that they actually know them. And the thing that happens when you connect with these random people who are trying to steal your information is you've got all of this information in there about where you worked, your birthday, you know, like a whole bunch of things that they can use. The second thing that they can do is then they can send you an email, and they might send you an email and say, hey Erica, thanks for connecting. I've got this really great free download that will teach you how to do this thing. And then you click on it and it's a bad link. So don't click on links from random strangers, and look out for fake job offers as well. Tell people in LinkedIn if you see something odd, if they've shared something that's a bit sort of incongruous with what they normally do, and always double check any tech support emails that come through either on your email or through LinkedIn. If it doesn't come directly from LinkedIn, that's really important. Don't click on anything. Sorry. All right. So when you are looking at getting moving on LinkedIn, here's just 10 things. It's not the be all and end all, but check your visibility settings. Customize your URL. That's a really easy one. It comes with a series of letters and numbers, but if you can get your name, like / Erica McInerney, that will really help people to be able to find you. And also it means that you've got a really nice little link that you can stick on your business cards, the bottom, you know, of your emails and things. Use quality photos. Get a professional photo taken, or take a photo that's really professional. Don't have a photo of you out with your friends having drinks or, you know, anything like that. That's really important. A nice, clear, professional photo. It doesn't have to be stuffy, but, you know, something nice. And same goes with header images. You can have header images now on your profile, and I think that's a really good place for you to put work stuff. So you've got a nice photo of you, and then your header image might have something that's a bit more to do with your work. Make sure you use keywords. When you're creating your profile, you get a headline. Your headline is super important because it follows you all over LinkedIn. So use some keywords there. That is when people are searching. So if I had social media tips, social media training, something like that, when people are searching for that particular phrase, my profile might come up. If we have some kind of connection, but also because that's what I've said is the thing that I do, that's my headline. So have a think about that. And then also use those same keywords in your summary. You know, who are you? What are you all about? Keywords, keywords, keywords. And make sure those keywords that you're using, you pepper throughout your post, you pepper throughout your article. You know, you want to start to build this really consistent kind of this brand voice. Post consistently with consistent content. Have I used consistently enough tonight? Algorithms, they rule these things, and they love data. They love keywords, and they love consistency. They have to predict stuff. They have to predict if people are going to engage with it. They have to kind of predict when you're going to be there so that it can serve you the right stuff. So try really hard to develop some good LinkedIn habits. Now, you don't have to be on there all the time, but if you consistently say, okay, well, I'm going to post 3 times a week, and you know, every single day between this time and this time, I'm going to open up LinkedIn on my desktop, and I'm just going to, you know, do my work, and I'm going to noodle around, and I'm going to comment, and I'm going to like, and I'm going to start to, you know, spend a little bit of time in there. That's really, really good. That's when LinkedIn will start to learn, and you'll start to get a really good newsfeed that you can engage with. Use quality images in your posts, in your articles. If you don't have access to a professional photographer, you know, get a good phone. Think about photos that are really relevant. You can use stock photos. It's just, don't pretend those stock photos are your own. Don't pretend that, you know, that photo is your office or your staff, because other people might, someone else might use that exact same photo in a, you know, 3 posts down, and then it's a bit weird. There are a lot of places where you can get really awesome stock photos. Unsplash, if you haven't already heard of it, unsplash.com has beautiful, free, high-res, gorgeous photos. It can take a bit of time to go in there and find what you want, but it's a really good resource. And then there's another one called Pexels, Pexels.com. And that, again, that's another free sort of stock library, and Burst by Shopify. But then there are other places like Adobe Stock and iStock, and, you know, if you want to, you can buy photos for, I think iStock, some of their photos are like $13, $14. You know, they're not expensive, and you can buy a whole series that really reflects your look and feel. Try video. There's a lot of evidence that shows that video on LinkedIn is really good. You don't have to do anything that's too fancy. You don't have to be creating like fancy corporate videos unless you need to be creating fancy corporate videos. But again, an iPhone and a microphone and a well-lit room, you know, it really comes down to what you're actually saying in those videos, or what you're doing, or what you're showing, and making sure that the video is relevant. If you've got a really high value, relevant, interesting video, people don't care that you shot it on an iPhone. They really don't. They're just going to go, oh, that was a really good video, I'm going to share that. So avoid sending people off LinkedIn over to YouTube, because the algorithm will see that link and it'll be like, nope, I don't think so. But you can say in your post, you could post a video and you could say, oh, I've got more videos over on YouTube if you want to go check me out. So, but don't actually necessarily put the link in there. And again, go through, seek recommendations and endorsements from people who matter, from people who you've worked with, and that's going to help to build a really, really gorgeous, strong profile. But I think with LinkedIn, and when I'm in there, when I have time to really be in there, the things that I really notice are when people blast the same post across all of their social media. If I'm connected to someone on LinkedIn, there's a really good chance I'm also following their Facebook business page, and there's a good chance I might be, you know, personal friends with them on Facebook, or maybe I'm following them on Instagram as well. And please just try to avoid that feeling or that impulse to just go same, because LinkedIn isn't Facebook, and it's not Instagram. And you know, sometimes you what you end up doing is you end up kind of generating this feeling like you're just selling, because you're just posting the same thing over and over again. Excuse me. So think about your why. Think about what you want to be known for. You know, think about thought leadership. What do you have to add to this conversation? What can you add to trending topics? You know, what can you find? How can you include your voice into conversations that other people are having? And when you go and you read an article that's really, really interesting and is really trending and people are really into it, if you go on there and you respond to other people's comments and you sort of say, oh, Erica, what a great, I 100% agree with you on this. And then I think blah, 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 blah. Then you're actually responding to me, my comment on someone else's article. And I'm going to be like, oh, who are you? That's really cool. And we might start having a conversation. And that's kind of how you network in this space, is by understanding, who you are, by adding value, by adding to the conversation, by creating conversations and prolonging them, and just generally not using LinkedIn like Facebook. But yeah, so I wanted to know if there are any questions, because I am done. If you want to unmute yourself, because there's not many of us. I can see Shannon accepting an award there, so I'm not sure if he's even there anymore. But does anyone have any questions or any comments? Just, you can feel free to unmute yourself.
I have one, Erica.
Yeah.
So as you know, I'm a migration agent. So a lot of my clients come from all over the world. Yes. So I don't know, I've got like 5,000 people connected to me. That's not necessarily a good thing, obviously, but I don't know I don't know how I could know all of these people. Like, most migration agents would have literally thousands of people that connect with them, and yeah. But it's interesting because some of those clients actually come back like 3 years later. They follow me for years, wanting to do this migration strategy, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I'll get an email from them from 4 years ago where they contacted me.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Is that a different scenario? Like,
yeah, you can. I mean, you guys could set up a company page and be really encouraging people to connect with that. You can also go deep into your privacy settings and have a look at how they work, and you can allow people to follow you. So you can have a public feed, if you will, and you can also have you don't have to connect with people. They don't have to see your work history and all of that stuff. They can just follow you. So when you post, it's a different kind of connection.
Yeah. Okay.
To think about. I guess it comes down to, what do you feel comfortable with? What kind of information are you sharing with all these thousands of people around the world? And do they need to be a connection? Because they can still. I
think we lost you there.
Needing to be, like actually connected with you.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
No worries. Does anyone else have any other questions? Sorry, I've had to, there's so much in there. It's actually a really, really interesting platform. And I have very vivid memory of, I used to, in a past life, I worked in recruitment, advertising and employer branding. And I remember the guys from LinkedIn who came into our boardroom one day and told us about this thing, and they left, and we all went, that'll never work. And here we are. It took a while, but it is, it's an amazing place to, it kind of has this dual purpose, I think, where it's a place for you to kind of, like I said before, amplify your messages and create this kind of personal brand and be a thought leader. It's also a really great place to, to put yourself forward for opportunities, collaborations and jobs and recruiting. People who are interested in working for an organisation will often go and see, well, I would go and see who else works there and what they say, and and have a look at all of those different people working for that organisation. So yeah, it's a really interesting space where you can really sort of carve your own little niche, I guess.
Good question, Erica. Shannon from Latrobe City Council. I was keen to, when you spoke about sort of staff becoming, using LinkedIn as almost a platform to promote the work that they're doing at their work. And have you seen an organisation that does that well, or how do you start that conversation
with the staff? Yeah, so one of the industries that does it really well is actually engineering. So organisations like Oricon and just trying to think of another one, but that those sorts of big organisations are really, really good at empowering their employees to create good content. And look, obviously they have, you know, big marketing teams and comms teams that will assist with that sort of stuff. But there's real value in that for the employees and for the business, as long as you're all singing from the same songbook or whatever that thing is. Because there's also the opportunity for people to say something that's really inappropriate or, you know, untrue, or so you can have a company page, you can connect everyone to the company page, and you can say to people, look, we'd really like you to create content that we can share, and encourage them to do that, and maybe just set some parameters around what that might look like, and that'll help them as well. That answers your question. But yeah, your comms team might be able to think about ways to help promote things that you're doing. I guess the thing with LinkedIn is that it has that authenticity. So if you post something on your, let's say you recently installed a big Morwell sign on the freeway, just saying, maybe if you did. And then when you post that on Facebook,
Erica, we can't talk about that anymore.
When you post that on Facebook, as the Shire, it's going to get a certain reaction. But if somebody in that team posted it on LinkedIn and said, you know, we're really proud of where we work. We've got this beautiful brand. This is what it means. This is what it means for me. You know, those sorts of things. You know, I feel really, you know, really connected to this because I worked on this project and I worked closely with the designers. Then that's a very different story, and you're going to get a very different response. You're going to get a really positive response, because that person's connections are going to say, oh, Erica, I see it. I get it. I think it's really beautiful. You guys have done a really good job. It's really important. Thank you so much. And so you can get those nice sort of those positive messages in this space, I think, more so than just that sort of general public carry on. Sorry. That's Skinny M. Oh my God. Sorry. Anyway, does anyone have any other question?
Cool. All right, then we might wrap it.
Sorry.
Sorry. Any other questions before we go? No? Well, thanks again, Erica. That LinkedIn, I'll be honest, that wasn't a platform that I had much knowledge on prior to this evening. So tonight's session was very informative. So thank you once again on behalf of the Latrobe City Council for joining us in our webinar series. For everyone else, I hope you found that really beneficial as well. Once again, please keep an eye on our Eventbrite webpage, and we'll be uploading details on future webinars moving forward. So thanks everyone. Hope you have a lovely evening.
Thanks guys. Hope to see you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I might need to get in there and update my profile.
Fantastic.